Hello viewers, welcome back to the channel. This is my final review of the brand new 2022 Scott Spark RC World Cup. And simply put, it's probably one of the best mountain bikes I've ever ridden, and it's so good in fact that if I wasn't moving house, I would probably buy it. It really is that good. So in this final video, I'm going through what I've loved about the bike, some things I haven't really liked so much, and talk about how it rides and performs and handles. So lots to get into. Let's not dilly-dally, let's dive in. And this really is my sort of bike. Absolutely flies up the climbs, flies down the hills, doesn't hold you back anywhere. A lot of fun, really rewards whatever you put in. Just a fantastic, complete package. This video is sponsored by Pedalsure, the insurance company that makes it quick, easy and affordable to get bikes like this covered against theft or accidental damage. And right now, there's even a chance to get a free hit block. So head to their website, link down below, for your own instant quote. As you probably know, if you're watching this video, this new Spark has had a radical makeover compared to the old bike. More than a nip and tuck, it's a ground up redesign. I won't go through all the detailed changes on this bike compared to the old bike. Instead, watch my first look video where I went through all the details, and that's linked up above and down below if you want it. But if you're watching this video, you probably know all the changes anyway. You all know how it rides and what's good and what's bad. So for me, what's good is how the bike looks. By putting the rear shock inside the frame, I think it looks really modern, clean, and just fuss-free. And I wish more full suspension bikes looked like this. There's no reason to have the rear shock exposed. The rear shock is packaged really well. There's good access from the compartment on the bottom of the down tube, so you can easily get to the dials, the rebound adjustment and so on. And you can easily set a sag with a marker on the non-drive side swing arm. And once you've got it set up, you don't really need to touch it again. You can easily adjust it though, it's really easy to access, and Scott has, to be fair to them, really thought about how you can access this shock as easy as possible, and you can even drop the shock out for servicing as well. So while it looks like it might be complicated and difficult to get at, it's actually really simple. And the fact you get in a really clean, modern looking frame is a real benefit. And also space for 2 water bottle cages on this side is large, so that's now a big plus. The pace of development in the mountain bike world is relentless, and we've seen it in cross-country race bikes over the last few years. Cast your mind back not so long ago, and a race bike would have had 100mm travel front and rear, maybe even a hardtail, no dropper post, and a steep head angle, 69 degrees or thereabouts. But here we are in 2022 on a full suspension 120mm travel front and rear bike with a 67.5 degree head angle and a long reach to boot as well. Numbers that not so long ago would have been found on a short travel trail bike, not a World Cup race bike. And those changes haven't slowed the Spark down over the old version at all. And we've seen Nino Schurter and Kate Courtney doing just fine on this bike, and even with me on it, it's doing pretty well. It's still a bloody quick bike, and it absolutely flies up the climbs, smashes flat trails, and absolutely smashes down descents as well. So capable, much more capable than the old bike. But what the changes have really done is made this a much more rounded, much more capable trail stroke down country bike. Yes, it's still a World Cup race bike at heart, but the extra travel and the slacker and longer geometry makes it a much better bike away from the race course when you are riding your local trails, and you want that nice balance of climbing ability from a low weight and efficient suspension, but you want to have fun on the way back down and cash in those gravity tokens you earned on the way up. It's a real trail weapon, and I hate to use the word weapon, but it really is. The way it devours descents, berms and rocky features and drops, and it is like a mini trail bike. One of the common questions I've had about this bike during my time with it is how does it compare to the trail version they do. Now if you don't know, they do the Spark in 2 configurations. So this is a World Cup race version with 120mm travel front and rear, racy tyres normally, a narrow handlebar, and not always a dropper post. And then they do a trail version with a 130 fork from a Fox 34 fork, slightly wider handlebar, slightly more aggressive tyres, and a dropper seat post.
and you also get a slacker head angle because of the extra travel from that longer fork. So I've had a few questions around how that compares to this one, but unfortunately I've not tried the trail version yet, which will be more a down country version, where it's a race version. But for me, having ridden this bike, I've not been in any situation where I felt this bike not really coping with the situation I put it in, and whether the trail version would give me more benefit.
I'm not sure the extra travel will make a big night and day difference, although a slacker head angle might give you a bit more of a benefit on the descents, especially steeper descents. I've already changed the tyres, as I mentioned, and the wide handlebar might be nice, but I'm not really struggling with this handlebar and stem setup, which you can't change, but thankfully the shape is working really well for me. The rear suspension feels very similar to the old bike. Really nice action, really smooth, easy to access all the travel, nice progression so you don't bottom out, and really good small to medium bump sensitivity. So it's a really smooth ride on rough trails. And we still have the twin lock, the front and rear suspension lockout and traction mode setting. So you can go from full plush, full travel all the time, to lockout, front to rear if you need it, and then a traction mode in the middle, which reduces travel, and that's good for climbing on smoother tracks. But I find the rear suspension so well behaved that I leave it open most of the time and use that traction mode only for a smoother fire climb, and rarely use the lockout other than to make sure it works really.
So it does give the bike an amazing ability to morph from a climbing beast to a descending weapon. So it does work well. There are bikes out there that use a simpler lockout mechanism. My personal preference would be for a bike that doesn't need any lockout and just does what it needs to do all the time with no fettling. But with it there and it working so well, I found myself using it quite a lot. And then underneath you have the dropper button. I've had quite a few questions around how it is to use. And yes, it looks at first like it might be an absolute nightmare to get your head around, but after a while you quickly get used to it. Twin lock, dropper, it's fairly easy really, and you just get your head used to what you need to do when you come to a climb or descent, and no real bother.
And there are a few bikes in this space that are really straddling this vague line between cross-country race and what you might call down country or short travel trail. It's nearly as capable as a YT Izzo, and it's definitely on a par with a Transition Spur, which is a good comparison for this bike. Similar travel, not quite as progressive geometry in this bike as the Spur. The frame on this Spark is stiffer than the Spur in my opinion, but for 70% descending, the Spur might be better. For 50% descending, where you're doing more climbing, the Spark has the edge, the more efficient, lighter, faster package. And it's much smoother and much more comfortable than the Canyon Lux Trail I reviewed very recently.
For me, it's a better race bike and it's a better down country bike as well. It's faster, got a better suspension, much better suspension, more comfort for long rides and more capability in rough, rowdy trails. The geometry works better as well, and better finishing and better looks from that rear shot being hidden inside the frame. Let's talk about prices and equipment, and a quite a big range of bikes to choose from with carbon and alloy frame options, and the range starts from £3,350 here in the UK and goes all the way to a quite staggering £12,200. This bike though sits right in the middle and costs £7,500, and probably one of the picks of the range. So you're getting a full carbon frame and swing arm, and then you're getting a RockShox SID Select Plus fork, so 120mm travel up the front to match the rear travel. And all the equipment worked without faults really. The RockShox SID fork is excellent, fantastic damping. The Fraser one-piece handlebar stem gives quite a bit of compliance. You can feel a bit of flex sometimes. And luckily the shape and width and length of stem work for me because you can't change it easily as it's a one-piece system. The dropper seat post only offers 100mm of drop, and as you can see I do have quite a bit of seat post extended because I run quite a high saddle, so a longer drop post would have been good for the more technical, very steep terrain situations where more drop would be good. It's slightly odd perhaps to mix Shimano and SRAM parts, but the brakes are powerful, really good modulation, one finger braking in all situations, and the gears are just a dream to use. Really nice paddle action from the wire shifter, and they work in any situation, no matter how much mud or leaves or branches are clogged up around a cassette. It just shifts gear with accuracy all the time. The only change, as you can probably see, are the tyres. So the Recon Race is a good tyre when it's dry, but it's January now. I've been riding this through December and it's been wet and slippery, and they weren't really cutting through the mud, quite literally. So I swapped to a set of Specialized ground control tyres, which did give the grip I needed in those very challenging conditions. And for me, it's a really good tyre. Nice lightweight construction, still fast rolling as well. It's not really trading in much rolling resistance, but a grippier tyre. Now, some people might say putting a Specialized tyre on a Scott is something you shouldn't do, but for me, I'm not really bothered about mixing brands. I go for the product that works for me, and it just happened to be a tyre I had available to choose. There are many other options, as I'm sure you'll let me know down below. And this bike really is so good that I am seriously tempted to buy it. I don't want to send it back. And there aren't many bikes I often say that about when I really put my hand on the heart or on the wallet and consider actually buying a bike. So a Scott Spark has been a lot of fun to ride. It's a really impressive package. And if you are lucky enough to get your hands on one in 2022, either the RC or the trail version, well, you're gonna absolutely love it. Take it from me, it's an absolutely phenomenal machine. And it looks amazing too. So time for my final verdict and conclusion and summary of this bike and my time with it. And quite simply, it's an outstanding bike if you're on a race, whether XC, short track or marathon, where speed, efficiency, a stiff frame and a lightweight package is your main focus. But if, like me, you want to do more trail riding, riding for fun, adventure and other reasons, then the bike still delivers. It has the speed and efficiency and low weight that helps you on a long distance ride and when you're tackling some big climbs. But the geometry, the suspension also helps you out when you encounter some more technical trails that you might not find on a well-groomed cross-country race circuit. And for me, it's a perfect blend of all the different, often competing requirements into one package that just delivers a massive smile every time I ride it. And I love the way it looks. I love the integration of the rear shock into the frame. I think more bikes should go down this route. So it's a fantastic package. Probably there are cheaper options if you're looking for the best equipment for your money, but I think the value for money here is good based on the way the bike rides and the concealment of the shock inside the frame, the geometry and all the other features on it. So for me, I think the value for money is pretty strong with this one, and there are cheaper models throughout the range as I highlighted earlier. So it's a big thumbs up for me. Like I said at the beginning, if I wasn't moving the house, I would happily buy the bike and keep riding it, because for me, it delivers everything I want from a modern mountain bike. And getting away from categories, pigeonholes, this bike is just a mountain bike. Good uphill, downhill, across trails, long rides, short rides, and puts a smile on my face. And that is what mountain biking for me is all about. And that's why a bike is a real winner for me. Anyway, that's all for now. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. And if you have any questions about the bike, then don't hesitate to put them down below in the comment section. But that's all for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you so much for watching.